COVID-19 pandemic snowballing into the huge social, economic, and of course health crisis within a very short time, but with prolonged impact. The spotlight has fallen on key issues like the climate crisis, sustainable business, the magnified socioeconomic inequity. Yet, both as frontline workers as well as in all areas of work, women in these difficult times have showed us that when there is a crisis, they emerge strongest. The crisis has hit them in multiple ways: increase of domestic violence, higher unemployment, migration, lack of social protection, and the list goes on, leading to reduction in the recovery process. We are today in conversation with Mr. Yasser Bilgrami to discuss some measures of strength building processes, holistic self healing processes using energy and breath techniques, some fast self defense moves, especially for women. Yasser started his journey in martial arts in the Korean system of Taekwondo almost 40 years ago at the age of 10. In the ensuing years, he has traveled extensively to Hong Kong, Singapore, UK, and India to study under the tutelage of many top masters. He holds black belts in the Taekwondo and Hakuryu Jiu-Jitsu and has studied two of the three crown jewels of internal Chinese Kung Fu old frame, Yang Taiji and Bagua, to a very high level from June 1994 onwards. He also holds the sixth generation direct lineage in a version of Hakka's southern praying mantis Kung Fu called KS Seung Thong Long Quet Sot and is currently studying to complete the Lam Hyung Pak Mei Kung Fu. He has been actively teaching students privately since the year 2001, a senior level compliance and risk professional in the field of banking and finance for the past 21 years. Yasser has been instrumental in driving the business strategy and the inception of key business areas throughout his career as a senior management asset. In this context, Yasser Dada, I would like to ask you, how can women engage in strength building processes to enable them to tackle the specific problems in social life that has been exacerbated by the pandemic?
Okay, thank you for having me on. What I would say is that the first thing that anybody would need to do would be to center themselves. You see, this pandemic is something unprecedented in our lifetime, and it's brought about the aspect of change and very quick change and how to embrace change. So the first way of embracing change is to center yourself. Okay, once you're centered and you're stable, then anything, no matter what chaos is around you, you would have a handle on over it. Okay, what I will be sharing today would be some based on the Chinese system of Bagua and Tai Chi, ways of actually centering your mind, your emotions, your energy, making it stable, getting a level of stability in your daily existence. And it would take not more than 15 minutes a day for you to do these, and you would definitely find 15 minutes of time. The where I'm coming from for this, and I'll explain it from a scientific perspective, is that we'll be working and we'll be addressing the body's premovascular system. The premovascular system in the olden days was known as the Qi system in China, and the Prana, uh, Nadi, Varma systems in India. I've studied one of them very well, the Chinese one, and I've also studied a little bit of the Indian system of Varma Nadi. Essentially, your body is just electricity. The underlying aspects of your body is electricity. That is what drives the functions, your organs. And this electricity flows in a certain pattern throughout the day. You're actually an electromagnetic battery, let's say. So these exercises that I'll share, and I'll also share some acupuncture points that you can manipulate, address the the flow of your energy. Okay. Now imagine if your body is like a laptop and it's got the best software installed, but all of that will not work if the underlying grid is not working. So what we will be working on would be the direct chi body, the direct energy body. It's known as the chi body, and we'll essentially be replicating acupuncture, but through movements and through physical exercises. The benefits of acupuncture, we do the same. The theory of the Chinese medicine theory, medical theory, is directly applicable in the martial arts as well, in the Chinese internal arts, but it's replicated through movement and through breathing. That's what I will be sharing. If you can ask me something very specific. Okay.
One question. So, how much of this is actually physical conditioning, in your opinion, and how much of it is essentially mental conditioning? Maybe if you could sort of elaborate.
Okay. See, it's all one. Your intent is the main concept here. How strong is your intent? Your intent in the Chinese it's called yi. Your intent moves everything. Okay. Let's say if you're looking at your body in terms of frequency and vibration, if a virus were to look at you, it wouldn't see you as a physical person. It would see you as your atoms and your molecules moving in a certain way to make something. Okay. Your body is actually just different. It's 50 trillion cells interacting with each other, communicating continuously with each intent, and done at the subconscious level, and it's done through your triune brain. Your brain has aspects to it. It's the reptile brain is your triune brain, which is the part that connects the brainstem to the it's the brainstem, essentially the spinal cord of the brain. That's your triune brain. Then you have your lower mammalian brain and the higher mammalian brain. So your brain is divided into three parts. Your triune brain, your reptile brain, is where all of these functions are. Your subconscious functions, your body's functions are. Okay, this is the brain that you can't really access physically or like at will. And this is the brain that we will be training through the methods that I'll share, because all of that is here. So the energy is like this. So let's say these are your organs or your physical, like different vibratory levels. At the highest vibratory level is your actual physical body. At the very sublime level is your energy. Now, if there is a problem here, it's going to be pulling all of that down. When your body is also pulled down, that also pulls down your emotions. It pulls down a lot of areas in your psyche. I'll give you an example. If you and I are sitting in a room and there's a generator in the next room buzzing, and somebody suddenly switches it off, then we just come to realize that there's absolute silence, but we were not aware that there was something buzzing, because our body is used to it. That is what most people's mental state is, that they're not also sometimes aware that there is something going on. Okay, the first thing we would need to do would be to realign our breathing. Now, what happens is that you've got two different kinds of breathing. You have what's known as the sun breath from your right nostril and the moon breath from your left nostril. Okay, during different times of the day, like for example between 8 to 10 on specific days, one of these would be more dominant, and it has to do with, these are actually ions that you're taking in, positive and negative ions that you're breathing in. So you need to start with addressing that. So very simply, you need to just sit, keep your lower back straight, keep your chin tucked in. Very important thing, you must make it a habit, is to have the tip of your tongue touching the roof of your mouth. Okay. Now the reason why you do that is because you have your conceptive vessel meridian, which is a very important meridian which starts from the middle of your body and it ends here. And you have the governing vessel meridian, acupuncture meridian, which starts again from the middle of the body, comes all the way and ends here. The only way for these two meridians to meet is if the tip of the tongue touches the roof of the mouth. So you have a energy circulation like that, an electric board like that, let's say. First thing, just do that. That immediately starts that and starts readjusting your frequency and your body's energy, let's say. Okay. Then your energy is set to originate 3 inches below your navel. Okay. So first, just simply pinch one of your right nostril, breathe in deeply to a count of 4, 4 inches, like 3 inches below your navel. Hold the breath there for two count of 2, and breathe out to a count of 4 again through the left. Do this 2 or 3 times. Then change and repeat. So after you've done that, you need to just very simply, this is just all ways of centering yourself. Just simply put your hands in front of you like that, but don't touch them. Okay? Now, consciously breathe in from your right nostril as I think you're pulling spaghetti. Like so. Hold the breath in your lower belly for count of 2, and breathe out again to the right nostril as you press back. Okay? This is a very simple way of just stabilizing yourself mentally and energetically. So very simply. So breathing in from the right nostril, holding the breath, breathing out from the right nostril. Okay? And repeat the other side. Do this till you feel a sense of calm. Now, the whole idea is to take your mind in a state called the alpha state. When your mind is in an alpha state, it's and if you measure that state, it's at 7.83 hertz. That is the alpha state. Now, if you see the Earth's magnetic resonance, it's called the Schumann resonance. That is at 7.83 hertz. So you're aligning yourself with the magnetic resonance of the Earth. Okay. Now, your body has acupuncture points which can actually teach you to tap into this electricity. Remember, it's just electricity and frequency. So if you want to tap into a radio station, you'll just bring a figure dial to that frequency, right? And there you are. So for your body to tap into the radio station of the Earth, then what you need to do, keep your feet placed firmly on the ground and claw the ground slightly, like as if, so what happens is that then it opens up your kidney 1 acupuncture point, which is right in the middle, like on the top part of your foot, and that is what connects you to the ground. Then you need to keep your chin tucked in as if you're balancing a book. Then you have your governing vessel 20 meridian right on top of your head over here. In India, it's called Uchi Varmam, governing vessel or Bai Hui point. Okay, it's the point where the baby skull is, it's just skin and it just closes right on top. Okay, now that will connect you to the atmosphere or the air, and then you have this thing going with the tongue touching the tip of the tongue touching the roof of the mouth. So that by itself will be enough to calm and center you. Okay. Now the acupuncture points you really need to start now working on. One is it's a point here called Ying Tai. It's or the third eye point. Now, or in India it's called Chilarta Kalam. It's where you put the bindi. The reason why you put the bindi is because you're emphasizing that point. Okay, it's right where your pineal gland is. Your pineal gland is responsible for a lot of the body's subconscious functions. So you will just lightly tap like so, 30 or 40 times on that. After you're done, take your palm and just kind of rub it in. That will ease you That will give you a sense of ease and mental clarity and some and keep you grounded. Okay. Then you'll move on to another acupuncture point, which is governing vessel 26, which is right on top of your lip. Okay. So you'll press in, and you'll just kind of massage it. What it does is it brings back the balance of your body. And if somebody is in shock, for example, like if some child has fallen badly or if somebody's had an accident, physical shock, then this is the point you must press in and massage to address that shock. Okay, so you start with this. So you have your feet firmly planted on the ground. You can sit comfortably, lower back straight, chin tucked in, tip of the tongue touching the roof of the mouth. First, just breathe in, like pinch one of your nostrils and breathe in through the other 3 inches below your navel. To a count of 4, hold the count to a count of 3 and breathe out to a count of 4. Do the same with the right. Do that as many times as you like. Then combine it with some basic energy kung. Okay, kung means work. So you just put that here, and you can again start with breathing in from the nostril, holding it and breathing out. Okay, both sides. Once you're done, start tapping here, start massaging here, and relax your hands like this and tap on your head, top of your head. Okay. This will make you centered. Just this little exercise will make you centered, and it will make you, and what will happen is that, okay, you may be in the middle of a lot of chaos. Okay, but this will help you to stand outside the chaos and have a look at it from a more dispassionate way, and that way you'll have a better understanding on how best to address what situation you're in. There would be definitely many situations where you would not be able to do much about it, but then this will give you the patience to, kind of focus on or probably think of ways of coming out of it. But these are just very, very essential, basic Neikung work. Neikung means energy work that you can start. What I can share with you is, if you are agitated at a very, very spiritual level, like a very base level, somebody has really gotten you very deeply, then you have a point. If you see right here on the hollow, where the hand joins the wrist, there's a hollow here. Okay, you massage that point. At least for 2 or 3 minutes, and then you turn, and there's a hollow right here where the hand joins the wrist. You massage that point on both the sides. These immediately, they're known as spirit points. In fact, in Tai Chi, we have a move where through the motion, we massage these. So these are few very small things that you can do. Now, when you do energy work, it's not necessary that you need to know 50 or 60 things. You need to know 1 or 2 things very well, and you need to do them consistently.
Dada, I had a question. In fact, I had 2 questions that matter because these are very relevant to what you're discussing right now. One thing that I'd ask you is, you were talking about the Tantien, the Tanden, the point below your, where we bring the breath down. This is something I've been trying for a long time. How do we actually understand that the breath is going to the navel or down to that specific chakra? So,
okay.
How do we understand? Yes.
Okay. See, it's your intent. You make a firm intent that you're going to breathe there. Okay. And when you breathe in, now the easiest way would be, when you breathe in, just expand your stomach. And when you breathe out, contract your stomach. Just do that. So, some people, now one of my students, only one of them, can actually move her Tantien all over the place. Yeah, all over the place. Like, she's a classical Indian dancer, and it goes all over. The only other one I've seen do that was an old gentleman I had met in Singapore. I've seen nobody else do it. But then it's not necessary that when you do energy work, that I will manifest everything the same way that you would, or vice versa. You have your own dynamics, I have my own dynamics. Okay? Uh, Keep a mental picture of you breathing down. If it helps, think of a color. Usually it's a color purple or a color golden. Okay, think of a golden color breathing in, and it's a lot of imagination as well, because see, we're again working on a subconscious mind. Our subconscious mind is a visual mind. A visual mind, and the more visual input you give to your subconscious, the easier it is to imprint habits in you. Okay? And now I'll share a very direct method of accessing your subconscious mind. And that's by manipulating your gallbladder meridian points at the back of the neck. It's called drumming. When you do it correctly, you'll actually hear drumming. Okay? So I'll just remove, you have to do it with both the sides. So keep a cupped hand, and I'll just demonstrate it, and you can try it later on. Cover your entire ear. Okay? And your fingers have to be behind your neck, and you have to just randomly drum.
Dada, it is not showing. So if you could raise the camera a little bit.
Okay. See,
Or no? Yes.
this, can you see? Yeah. So when you do that, you see my fingers are spread, and they're massaging, or they're drumming over my neck, over a certain area of my neck. This area. Essentially, you do that, you will hear drumming if you do it correctly. So cup your ear lightly, and the best thing about our bodies is that where your fingers land, your fingers individually would be exactly where your acupuncture points are. Like if I would use my fingers on you, I would have to actually readjust my fingers. But your body is designed in such a way that it will automatically land on each and every one of those gallbladder points. Okay? You do that. This is a great aid for students as well, in the sense that if you do this before you start your exam, and I've done it myself, and I used to really score, like before you start studying, you get your gallbladder points working, you do the study, then you get your gallbladder points working. So all of that is input in your subconscious. When you're sitting for an exam, get it out, and it's going to come out at a level that you yourself will be surprised, because it's going straight in your subconscious. I know we've kind of deviated a little from this, but this is required for you to also center yourself.
Okay. I think Judhajit had a question. So, Judhajit.
Question, sir. So, when you're saying about the golden color, is this linked to basically the heart and the liver, etc., those organs?
Okay.
Because
You see, each organ has a different color to it, a different like a vibration and a color to it. Your aura. Now, I'm using these terms aura not because these are terms that the old people used, instead, because that was the science that they had. Your aura is nothing but electromagnetic energy that's about, it's like a shape of an egg, and it constantly changes throughout the day. It's just your own body's electromagnetism. Okay, each of your organs vibrates at a certain color, and why I used yellow or golden was because it's a very strong color for when it comes to visualization. Chinese use purple.
Standard Chinese color for some of the internal organs, as far as I had heard, because like wood and gold are more often used in some of the whatever little I had sort of heard.
Okay.
So,
see, you have 5 elements in your body.
Yes, actually.
That's even in India, you have 5 elements. It's called Panchabhuta. In China, you have 5 elements. Now, so it's fire, air, water, earth, and wood. Okay. Now, these elements doesn't mean you actually have wood inside you. It's what constitutes wood or what constitutes metal. Metal, you'll have zinc, you've got iron, etc. There is a like these five elements working together. See, your body at the atomic level is a very, very complex mechanism, and you've got 8 levels of chi, or 8 vibrations and frequencies of your own energy. There are 8 different kinds, going from gross to the from the denser to the finest. There are 8 levels of them. So to get into go more into details would really not be. I mean, it would be for another venue, I would say. But to answer, okay, 5 elements, they're not concerned with associated with the color, but the organs are associated with colors, certain colors.
That was actually my question, sir. Like, is it because we are trying to focus on the organs that, focusing on gold or purple might help?
No, again, you see, the reason why I used these colors was because these are very strong colors mentally. Okay, and these are colors that you can very well imagine, and you can imagine, and they make your intent strong because they focus. Yellow is a very strong color. It's a very in-your-face color. Okay, purple is a very in-your-face color. So when you have such colors and you're focusing, then you have a more clear imagination, let's say. Okay. Now, the Indian yoga system with chakras, I have no idea about it. I cannot even comment on that.
No.
But the chakras apparently have their own colors as well. So
no. So actually, my question was actually linked to because I think in Xingyi Quan that is something where they focus on gold to basically take care of the internal organs, probably the liver and the heart. So that was.
Dada, I'd just like to weigh in here, because since you've studied the two treasures, my brother he had been taught, he had also been studying it for quite a bit of time. He's essentially into the external arts. He was learning a lot of stuff, but essentially 5 animals from one of the gurus out here, Mehboob, who's a friend of mine. Okay. But then he picked up Xingyi and Tai Chi from whatever resources there are in India and Calcutta. And he has been very serious in his practice of Xingyi, which, even though there has been lots of discussion between us, I have found that is perhaps one of the most along with Tai Chi and Bagua, of course, much more effective in making you feel fit no matter whatever state you are in, because I suffer from a lot of ailments, than going through years of the external arts. So if that's you just join it to this narrative, that was my...
Okay. See, Xingyi was the second art I learned after Tai Chi. And I've learned it extensively. Okay, going into the meditative part, we just had to stand in a certain posture called the Unity Santi posture for long hours. Okay, there were no colors involved. It was just very practical. I just, in fact, stopped teaching Xingyi entirely to an Indian master just a month ago, based in India. So I kind of gave it. Xingyi, you're right. It's more physically demanding, and the subtlety is very much there. But from a health perspective, it's a lot more demanding than Tai Chi or Bagua.
Dada, sorry, did you have a question?
No, I'm waiting for you to ask me. You have to ask me.
I'll hold. I'll hold the question. Please go ahead.
Okay, so I wanted to move on to the self-defense part, and because we're talking of women, fast movements, if they can master it by repeated, practice, but not requiring too much of strength, which women may lack, and if pitched against men, say for example. So if you could show us some moves.
Definitely.
Sanjukta, I had one request, because Judhajit was speaking about the energy arts and Yasir Bhai is actually a encyclopedia. One session cannot actually do any justice to him. But with deep respect for that, if this query or this line of discussion could be over before we moved on to anything to do with self-defense or maybe even a state of mind that you were referring to. So, if Vaya, if you could continue with your or finish
Yes.
your question.
So actually, my query was actually not regarding a very long discourse on this. Maybe this is not the right forum for that. But my query was, sir, would there be certain specific techniques of meditation which would help in both self-healing as well as maybe in applications in self-defense, which would be sort of like by which someone could strengthen oneself, especially women, say day after day, but as you were saying, involving less amount of time at one single go maybe, but might be repeatable over a day.
Okay, I understand. Okay, so what I will do for that, and I'll after we are done, I will record something, and I will send it on, and you can add it to this. Okay,
Thank you so much, sir.
because
Thank
then
you.
I can demonstrate it.
Yes, yes,
So
yes, yes.
it's about, I'll just show you ways of developing power very fast. Okay.
Thank you.
So that I will do after we're done. I'll do that separately, and I'll send it across, and you can add it as on this podcast itself. Yeah. Okay. Now again, this comes with a disclaimer that you won't become like a excellent at self-defense if you know these things, but it will give you an edge, and like everything else, you would need to practice it. Okay. And we'll focus only on a person's head. Why? Because no matter how big you are muscularly, like how big muscles you have or how aggressive you are, your head is still the same. And your head has the largest concentration of muscles because you make all sorts of expressions, etc. So, first thing, get a keychain like this. Okay, very simple. With a ring, yeah? Make sure you always carry a keychain like that. So what you'll do is you'll put this inside your. The keys are all spread apart. Now, if you slap somebody with that, the keys will do the work for you. Very simple. If you hit somebody here, the keys will do the work for you. Everybody knows how to slap, I'm sure. Yeah. So just a keychain with a ring, with a lot of keys in the middle finger. So the keys are spread across in your palm. Boom. The keys will do the work for you. You don't need to be strong as well. Okay. The next one is from one of the first lessons I learned in Hakuryu Jiu-Jitsu. It's the tip of your fingernails against the eye, especially like this. So you're going to be going. So to practice it, you keep your hand and relax your hand. Do that. You see, the more relaxed your hand, and if you use your fingertips, it hurts. So against the eye, straight up. So you can slap, and you can do that. Okay? It doesn't matter where you are, even if God forbid you're on the ground and somebody's on you, you can also go there. So aim for the eye and the fingernails. Okay? These are two very simple ones. The third one is from Shingi and Bhagwa. It's a cup palm. Okay? Now, see, when this noise that's made is because a vacuum is created. Okay? Now, with this, if you slap somebody, you create a vacuum. Try this on yourself, you'll see how hard it is. So learn how to slap like this. So you practice by doing that. Okay? And for both the ears. Yeah. Okay? Very simple techniques. Last one is, think you, with this thick part of your palm, think you're picking up a bucket or something like this. Just do that. Like from the side, just go up. Okay. That would be straight under the chin, straight up. This is taught in the army. It's basic self-defense in the army, especially the olden days, the commandos, against the under the chin, straight up. Okay. You don't really need a strength. Put all of your body weight behind and go up. Okay. So to run through the methods again, keychain, here, slap with it. Number 2, tips of your fingertips against the eye. Okay. Don't be hesitant in doing this, because if somebody is coming to harm you, it's better, like, this is more prudent. It's better you do that than you get hurt, because remember, you have your whole family at home waiting for you. Yeah, and you will hurt somebody, but not that badly as well. But anything on the eye would be enough to, take out the fight in almost anyone. Like, just deflate them. Yeah. Then the other one is a cupped slap, working on principle of a vacuum, either on the face or 2 cup slaps on the ears. Okay. Last one is with the heel of the palm. Practice with both hands like this, and under the chin. Okay. So you just have these few moves. So you can just be doing them while you're cooking. You can just practice like this, like you're cooking, stirring something and you go. You practice that. Maybe you're hanging clothes, you go. Maybe you're on the net, then you go, like. But make this into a daily habit. And just keep these few, because you don't need a lot, but keep these few and keep the aim to be the head and the face, especially the face. Okay. Short and sweet. And, if you hopefully you won't be doing this on your better half. So disclaimer, please don't do it to your better half. Anyway. Okay.
Well, Judhajit, any questions? Sorry.
Judhajit, we can't hear.
Yeah,
we can't hear. Please repeat. Now you're
am I
audible.
audible? Yeah. So, what I was saying regarding some of the more specific exercises that one can do, say for example, like lifting or any one of the harder pushing exercises, can they maybe have an effect on the skeletal system if done wrong, like in practice? That's a
okay. Yes, any exercise, if it's not done correctly, will have an adverse impact if it's not done correctly. Okay. Therefore, the exercises that I will share, these are more to do with massaging your internal organs and getting a kind of power that's like a spring energy power. So it's not like a physical lifting things or something like that.
Sorry again. Actually, I was not talking about physical lifting. I was talking about the typical pushing, lifting parts which are there, I guess, in many of the internal styles. I was talking about them where basically, since we are applying more force in the upward direction, can it possibly, affect some of the bones, etc. If we sort of if I try to do it powerfully, can it sort of
Asif bhai, I would like to weigh in here because there are some problems. I anyway am suffering from a lot of problems as far as the spine is concerned. But even my brother, he has a problem with one of his wrists. He's been practicing a lot of things on and off for a long time. He's been teaching also whenever he gets the time outside of his work as a professor of engineering, which is pretty demanding time-wise. But we used to be fairly regular. I as a student and he as both a student and teacher. But the problem is, there are certain specific kinds of pains that we are developing. He in his wrist, which I don't think he has gotten from a specific accident. It has just developed. And me in my lower back. And essentially, we were practicing just, yeah, please.
Just actually had this simple query, like, say if somebody has lower back pain or stuff like that, can they still practice safely? Is it possible?
Yes, that's the question. That's the question. Yeah.
Okay. See, these methods that I've shared with you, these are safe. Okay, because these don't really require much. You just like you're sitting and you're just practicing that. Okay, it doesn't require much, and it's a relaxed hand. Okay, this one, it's the heel of the palm, which is a very solid thing. Now, if you have let's say a problem with your right wrist, then you should focus on the left. If you have problems with both wrists, then you should disregard this and maybe do something else.
I actually have DQT, so actually I don't have a problem pushing. My query was more on like whether or not it can affect somebody's back, somebody who already has back pain. So
which I
this particular manner, is it possible, or is there some exercises which can that person can do to ensure that they can still do this without and practice it safely without having a lot of adverse effects on the back or spinal cord?
So Dada, I was asking also, like, you were doing something which had to do with centering and energy. I do a little bit of pranic breathing also, because Sanjukta is she's into pranic healing, so I do some of the practices which I learned from lots of people, the last from Abhijit before he left us. So all of them together, I have not been trained extensively, but a little bit breathing, a little bit of cheap practice, etc. So none of which requires me to do a lot of physical activity in, like, if I was doing jiu-jitsu or karate or any of the other arts which are more kinetic. So I think if I continue with it, that should not create a problem at any point of time, should it? Like essential Qigong or maybe some movements from Xingyi or Tai Chi, even if it has to do with the legs.
Okay, see, it depends on, look, you need to have certain body alignments done, placed in a certain manner, which only a teacher can show you. And if you deviate from those body alignments, you will definitely get injuries. Okay. Having said that, I mean, using this exercise was the one that said, okay, what if there's somebody who has a back issue, and if they can do it. Now, see, you're just doing it. You're just making a mind and body connection. You're making a neurological pathway to do that, right? When you need to do it, if you need to use it, you'll have your body weight behind, and seriously, at that time, even if you have a lower back pain, it would be, I mean, that would be something that you would probably need to sacrifice in order to get out of that situation. That's a very dire way I'm saying. But when you're doing it gently, like so, you're just building a neurological pathway and an understanding, and you're doing it without strength. Because when you have a proper neurological pathway done, when you use the strength is going to come. So if you do about maybe 100 of these, then you have that mind, and it's that electricity. You've got that pathway that you're making. So it's more of an internal thing. And then again, this has the body's pushing energy or power behind it. So it's mostly not really also your localized muscles. If you build a proper pathway, then it would be just a more of a wholesome movement. If you're obviously pushing something heavy, then yes, you would hurt then your muscles would come into the picture. But we're not doing that. We're working more on having a neurological pathway made for this specific movement to ingrain it inside your psyche. So when you need it, it comes on.
Yes, Dada, understood. Thank you very much. This makes it pretty clear. Yeah.
Thank you very much.